डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी.
Namaste. I, Dr. Janma Vasavda, welcome you all in the series of drama. I am talking to you live from Jyotirmay Parisar, Ahmedabad, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University's campus, and the studio is Chaitanya Studio. We have by now covered what kind of dramas are there, what are the characteristics of it, what are the different elements that goes into making of drama, and what are the characteristics that makes a drama as a form. Today, we are going to go ahead with different ages of drama and the drama that as a form that has been transitioned or it has seen some changes. Every age has its own element. Every age has its own essence. As you know, history says a lot about its time and the culture or the period that you have. The same way, English history saw huge shifts as the age changed. It saw huge changes or major variations in different forms of literature, not only literature, but also with the type and life as the time proceeded with the changing monarchy. By that I meant that every ruler had their own idea, set of notions, the way they would behave, the way they would expect something. So it is really important for any person to know the history. We generally think that why history is important or why should we go ahead with history, or it is in the past, it should not be taken into consideration. True, okay, at some point you are right. But why a form is so and so like that, or why a situation is in front of you is need to be rectified. And this you can do, this you can just check only and only if you have the perspective of history. So today we will be beginning with the age of Chaucer to Spenser, and then we will go ahead with Elizabethan age, university waits, and so on. So let's begin. Drama from Chaucer to Spenser. The ancient classical drama had long ceased to be a vital force. It had been always the driving force in front, It has been the major aspect that drama had always focused on. In the beginning, it proceeded with mystery plays, miracle plays, morality plays. These plays we have already talked about in prior classes. If you haven't watched, you can just go back and watch from the history. There was a shift from Old Testament to New Testament. Now, from one set of idea to the other set of idea. That was first. Second, from 11th century onwards, monastic and cathedral records frequently mention the properties used in such dramatic representations. It kept on reflecting new ideas. Though their composition probably remained in clerical hands. Of course, the ruling party, or I won't say ruling party, the major force behind was cathedral or clerical hands only. A growing secularization of tone is clearly discernible. It is not visible properly, it is not coming out properly, and the liberty that a playwright used to take was quite limited. While any spiritual authority or ruling power is ruling your form, so it is not possible that you will be able to come out as normal as you think of, right? So that's one. Now, age of Elizabeth. The early type of time was scholarly in tone and aristocratic in authority. Initially, when the shift began, Queen came in on the throne, and initially she started changing the variations, or she started going ahead with different traditions, or she experimented with a lot of ideas. So earlier playwrights were Lord Brooke and Fulk Greville, and their potential was limited because it was yet into aristocratic authority itself. So they had that scholarly idea, or they had their representation, but it was limited. Next comes up is university wits. Now, dear learners, we will have to pay attention on the name itself or the title itself. University wits. If we just differentiate two words, so first is university and the second is wits. University as in only universities that they considered as university in canonical form. These were either Cambridge or Oxford. So if you are not studying into Cambridge or Oxford, you are not considered as the part of that group. But yes, let me tell you that while they were writing, while they were reforming the form drama, they had no idea that after some time they are going to be termed as university wits. So by the time they are writing, they are a group of 7 writers. And they are Thomas Nash, Robert Greene, John Lilly, George Peele, Christopher Marlowe, Thomas Kidd, and Thomas Lodge. I have mentioned their university also so that you won't forget first. And second is that the university wits as a topic is the writer's origin, which university they have been, how many university wits are there in a group, that you can just identify and differentiate, because these are oft asked questions in your UGC NET too. So these are the writers who created potentiality in ideas. They experimented a lot. They changed the music, chorus, then they changed the setting. They formatted or formatized every part of drama. And Christopher Marlowe, particularly Christopher Marlowe and Shakespeare, they were contemporaries. They born in the same year, and due to some unknown reason, Marlowe passed away quite early, and Shakespeare kept on writing. But one thing that I can definitely say is that University Wits was one of the groups that influenced William Shakespeare, and their ideas then were prolonged further. So, University Wits represented the essence of Renaissance. Now, Renaissance, when I say, it cannot be typical to only and only from this point to this point. It is a type. It is a movement. So, it will begin. It will have predecessors. They will have, the movement will have people who are following it afterwards too. So you'll have to make sure that any age cannot be airtight compartmentalized. You will have that essence prior only. You'll see that coming, and then it actually comes up. So University Wits actually structured drama, its presentation, the way they are using the stage, the craft actually was the mind child of these people, brainchild of these people. They created, they formulated these variations, and that influenced Shakespeare a lot. Elizabethan literary achievement embodies almost the entire spirit of both drama and poetry. When I say that Elizabethan literary achievement and embodies almost the entire spirit both of drama and poetry. By that I meant that Elizabethan age saw bloom in both the fields. It was not only strict to a only form, right? And this age produced tragedies, comedies, tragicomedies, and romances too. Elizabethan age was considered as the golden age in the history of English drama because a huge chunk of work was done in this portion. Particularly, it was way experimentative. It was driving away from the typical religious dramas, as you see in any Chaucerian drama or their ancient playwriters. You can see that the drama that William Shakespeare or Marlowe they are writing and the dramas written prior have a huge difference in them. And that is the reason perhaps it came out as the golden age of drama. William Shakespeare's dramas were Himalayan success on stage. People loved drama. Audience used to flock in any time. Whenever they are having any show, they will just buy tickets and go. So it generated for the first time in Shakespeare's arena, it generated a huge chunk of revenue. And it was a great success. So theatrical idea, the setting, changes, experimentation, everything was at bloom, and it reached to a great success. Tragedy was developed first, and by the time tragedy reached Shakespeare in time, it degraded to melodrama and horrors. It generally happens, you also must have seen that when one form is at a par excellent level, gradually it will start its downfall because there are some writers who keep on experimenting in a wrong way. You might have seen that a lot of works were written at so excellent level that after that if you are trying something else, it's not going to work out. So soon it happened that tragedy, although was really intellectualized form, it had a proper structure. A lot of people worked on tragedy, but that became also one of the reasons that it turned out melodramatic. The element of tragedy or the essence of original tragedy was lost in between somewhere. So Shakespeare experimented with all kinds of forms. Post-Shakespearean dramas, light comedy then was popular by then. Masque had by that time brief but brilliant character and career. Masque is a sort of dramatic performance. It's a short-lived in between that comes in, and it's a dramatic performance composed for some festival-like occasions like marriage or great man's son's majority or some celebration of victory, right? It can be distinguished by ornate stage setting, lyrics, music, dancing, and by that is also by allegorical characters. Tempest has such inclusion. The kind of short dramatic performance that comes in interludes, or it is only for a short period of time. It has very ornate and didactic settings, different lyrics, the music is also different, the dance movements, the allegorical characters, the way it is represented. It is not majorly used by Shakespeare, but it can be seen in Tempest, but majorly used and strongly developed in the works of Johnson. You will have to remember these things just to know what kind of age they were living in what kind of age they were creating dramas, and you'll have to see that what kind of people influenced each other. And that is why you'll be able to see influence on them, vice versa. So blank verse was highly experimented by Marlowe and other university wits, of course, because they followed Senecan tragedy and Latin form too. Now, while we are talking about these people, William Shakespeare, university wits, the way their experimentation went on, you will have to pay attention that till that time, such experimentation was not done prior. It was once for the beginning. Second was that Elizabethan age not only saw bloom in drama, but in also other types of forms too. I am currently focusing only on drama. So with this, we end our session here. We will focus on remaining ages and upcoming changes in the history in next class. Till then, take care. Happy learning.
स्वाध्यायः